JD, we are live. Duke gets it done. They are the ACC tournament champs. They do it without two starters. JD, I'm just going to let you go. Go ahead, bud.
Look. I think the reason we won is I wore the Brotherhood jersey for all three games. But I think that
Wait, one quick thing. You got to put on your other hat.
that is true. We're stacking the hats. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, um, it was an incredible decision from the get-go that Shire said, we're not going to have Big Pat. We're not going to have Foster. We're playing with basically a 7-man rotation. And we'll see what happens. And that first game, boy, it just came to a metal rim of missing a shot for us. Second game, we win. Never really broke a sweat. Tonight, as a fan, you were just, on the edge of your seats the whole game. And especially with, at one point, they were 14 of 14 or 15 of 15 or something crazy with like 9 block shots. Virginia played a great game, except for a couple of mental errors and Boozer missing 2 shots down just like the first game. But I'm going to take this and say this is going to be, especially if we, when we get Big Pat back, this is our year. Now we're down to just needing 6 in a row.
Right. What are we at now? You said it was 12 at the beginning?
Yeah, 12 and 13,
Maybe
and now
13,
we're down to
yeah.
6.
Down to 6. That's
well,
right.
Because there was that win, we haven't lost since the UNC game,
which is pretty crazy considering the injuries. And as this team has said very consistently, they did it for their teammates. Coach Shire said, get it done for Caleb Foster, get it done for Patrick Gongba. Don't forget about Iffy and our new favorite,
number 50,
Brock Davis over there. Great wrestling name. I gotta bring that up again. But this was a great game, back and forth.
Great game.
A lot of credit to Virginia, especially Ugana Onyenso, who completely changed the game. And later we can get into why I think some of the reasons why he was so effective. But for right now, I just want to give him a lot of credit. He had 9 blocks, and who knows how many other shots he altered. And then, what was it, when he checks into the game in the second half, because he starts off the bench, that 4-minute segment, he had 6 blocks. It was 2 or 3 on 2 on Cam, and then 1 on Nick in one possession, and then another possession later on he blocked Caden twice within the same segment. And during that segment, it just felt like, I know you went the other way, that it felt like Duke had an opportunity because Virginia wasn't scoring, but for me it felt like Onyenso was blocking everything. Virginia couldn't extend the lead beyond what I think was a 4-point lead for them. But Sam Lewis hit a lot of shots for them. Malik Thomas had a good game. Dallin Hall hit some buckets. They had Jakari White hit some threes early. They were doing a good job of getting Cam isolated on their guards, especially in the first half, and then driving him and looking for lanes to score around the rim. I just felt like, and then they did a good job doubling him, doubling Cam to be specific in the first half. It felt like they made good adjustments to what Duke did to them in the first game, but then also, admittedly, to what Duke had the options of doing in this game without Big Pat. I think in this game in particular, we felt the loss of Big Pat the most.
Absolutely. And what was the stat for Cam shooting?
3 of 17. He just never figured out how to score on Onyenso. He just couldn't figure it out. And it was, listen, in the first game, he didn't make a lot of field goals. They got to the free throw line a ton. He didn't get there quite as much in this game. I think one of the adjustments was that Onyenso was guarding him, and part of the reason for that is there's no big Pat to guard, and so that made things a little bit easier for Virginia to guard a guy like Cam Boozer. But still, there's adjustments I think he could have made during the game. But at the same time, some of this was certainly he looked exhausted. You know, the Clemson game, it was remarkable how he didn't look tired. In this game, it looked like he didn't have his legs, and I think that was part of it. But man, Onyenso was dominant protecting the rim for Virginia. And let's go to Caden Boozer though for Duke.
The first half, just like I was thrilled to have him as my point guard. He was just incredible. He was just driving the lane, doing his thing. He had a three. He was just in control. I think he had at the half 2 or 3 turnovers, but nothing bad. And he played all 40 minutes.
Yeah, he had the couple turnovers at the end of the first half, where one it seemed more like a miscommunication. He kind of threw it in between where his brother and Evans were, and then the other one, Mallory was able to poke the ball off of his leg towards the end of the half. It did seem like at the end of the half there, Duke had momentum, but then after that moving screen on Isaiah Evans, I wondered if Caden was starting to feel the effects of playing the entire first half, something he hasn't done all year. I'm sure he did that a lot in high school, but this was a little bit different. ACC championship game. But he was driving efficiently. He made tough buckets around the rim. His defense was good. He had a fantastic game and an incredible first half, did Caden Boozer. And we would not have won this game without his effort in the first half. And then the second half was Isaiah Evans, who just got it going. And once he makes one, you can start to feel it. And I think he started to get it going. I think it was the first half. Maybe it was the second half. I don't have it in my notes here. But it was a really nice pass I think it was the first half, later in the first half, from Cam, who he had a tough night scoring the ball, but he had 8 assists, and it's the mark of a great player. What do you look like on your bad nights? 8 assists, 8 rebounds for Cam. He found Evans on a cut to the rim on a beautiful pass, and then the next play, Evans pump fake, sidestep 3, and then from there he started to build. And I like the fact he didn't force the issue. We've seen him in the past start to force shots. He didn't do that this evening. And then as the game went on, clutch threes, and then more importantly, a number of clutch free throws at the end of this one. And there's no one I'd rather have at the free throw line at the end of a game than Slim. Quick draw.
Well, and the quick draw. Well, partially because if you notice, when he puts up his hands for 3, it's like he puts it in his holster. And that's where I came up with quick draw. It's not an accident it's just what he does. He was so confident about his free throws that, remember, I was like saying, he's shouting. And you said, no. He's giving instructions for what to do on defense after he hits the shot. And it's like, and then thankfully for Cam, when he came up short in those 2 and it was a 2-point lead, he gets fouled. He has a chance at redemption at the free throw line, and he hits his last 2.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And let's see. Malik, I thought, started the game pretty well. But again, after he picked up his second foul and had to sit for a while, didn't feel like the same effectiveness from Malik once he came back into the game in the second half. Fortunately, we should have Big Pat back, and that will help Malik's rhythm, I feel like. Because when he gets into foul trouble, we've got to pull him, but it won't be quite as drastic when we have Pat. He'll be able to play more aggressively. So I think that will
And I'm
help.
going to give a shout out to Darren Harris for a drive to the basket. It came not too long after the two blocks on Caden Boozer. And he just took it with authority, got fouled, and hit the N1. And that was just good for him. Good for him. He's part of the winning effort tonight.
He was. All 7 guys contributed. Before we get to Nick, who I thought was fantastic in this game, I want to just mention Dame. Dame, it didn't start great for him from the three-point line. He missed his first 4 threes. I don't think he shot well in this game. Defense was still very good. Made some good passes. We didn't see the I don't, for lack of a better term, like the over drives, where we saw a few of them in the Clemson game. Didn't see that this evening. So I felt like that was a nice adjustment by Dame. Didn't have the shot going, but still felt like his defense was noticed out there on the court, even though he didn't necessarily force a lot of steals or deflections in this one. But anything on Dame before I go to Nick?
No, I was just going to go back to Caden for a minute. It didn't count because there was a foul call, but he drove to the basket and dunked it with his left hand.
Yeah.
I mean, there were just some moments in this game that were just so much fun to watch as a Duke fan.
Well, in the first half, just before that, it was, I think Evans tipped the ball, like it was in the air, what seemed like forever, and it was going into the front court, into Virginia's side of the court. And then Caden runs it down, and there's the 2 guys trailing him, and he goes up and dunks that one. And I think I've underrated his athleticism because he's been scoring around the rim. Now he's shown us he can dunk the ball a bit. You can see the confidence. And this is the guy, when I watched the Boozers at Columbus, because I wanted to see what we were going to get, from these guys last year. I was watching them. This is what he looked like in high school. Attacking the basket, being aggressive, scoring around the rim, and then hitting, the occasional three-pointer as well.
And I think there's also some crazy stat that they've never lost a championship.
They're unbelievable, the 2 of them, at just pure winning. It is crazy what they do together. And speaking of that,
So you asked me about Dame. It was that pass over the basket that he caught when he went up and was able to adjust the ball in midair and then bank it in. It was a great catch and a great shot on not a great pass.
Yeah.
So, Nick, what'd you think of Nick tonight?
This guy's been incredible. We always like to talk about Malik and what he does, and it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. You look at the stat sheet, Nick had a decent game. Don't get me wrong, but I thought he was awesome. I thought his energy, his shot making, he hit a deep 3 from above the break on the left hand side of the court. His ability to guard almost 1 through 5, certainly 1 through 4. He would guard Chance Mallory, then he would guard DeRitter. And you never felt like he was, in trouble defensively.
No.
Not one time.
His footwork was great.
And just the energy that he brings to this team off the bench, his rebounding. He's hit a whole nother gear here in the last couple weeks. And this opportunity with the 2 guys out has really served him and Caden really well. And I'm excited to see what Nick continues to do as we move into the big dance here. I'm really looking forward to Selection Sunday tomorrow. And, a couple things on Cam before I got a Virginia comment I got to make before we get to the stats. One,
but before you even get there, it has been so much fun to do the ACC tourney. So please remember to, especially if you're a Duke fan, we love to have you as subscribers. Like the show. How could you not? Not just us, but just to be able to talk amongst all of us. It's just going to be great going into March Madness.
That's right. So Cam, listen, it was not his best game.
Nope.
He knows that, okay? But the guy did make some really important plays. The passing was really good throughout the game. After that segment I mentioned before, where it seemed like Onyenso was blocking a shot every 30 seconds, neither team scored for like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes or so. And it was Cam who hits a big three to cut the Virginia lead to one. And then Cam gets a rebound and finds Darren on the play you're talking about on the leak out. And then Darren gets the and one. And then Duke has a 2-point lead after that. That was really timely. And then the end of the game, I know he missed the two free throws initially. But then he drives it when we call the timeout on Onyenso, gets it on the rim, gets his own rebound, and then has the presence of mind to kick the ball back out. Duke resets. We get the ball to the guy we want to have the ball there, Isaiah Evans, and he gets fouled. And so I felt like on a game where he didn't have his best stuff for a number of reasons, but it wasn't a good Cam Boozer game. He made some smart plays, even if I would have liked him to make an adjustment on driving against Onyenso. There were some smart plays that he made, and that brings me to Virginia, who I felt like shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. Not just at the end of the game. You can go to the start of the game. Testa Ritter, not a great three-point shooter, very early in the shot clock, jacks up a three to start the game. And then you had Dallin Hall jumping out of bounds on a ball that was clearly tipped by Dame Sarr and couldn't catch it. Was way out of bounds. I don't know why he touched it. And then the end of the game, DeRitter running or pushing, I should say, Evans, giving Evans the 1-and-1 there, where Duke was in a little bit of trouble late in the shot clock. And then Virginia not fouling. You know, they wasted 5 or 6 seconds before they fouled Evans. They could have fouled Cam on the rebound. They could have fouled Caden. Not bad free throw shooters, but not Evans level free throw shooters there. And they didn't, and then they let time tick away. And I guess there was a 2-second difference in the shot clock, but in that situation, you're down by 2. You got to foul right away with the 2-second differential there. So I feel like Virginia played a great game. There's a few things that they're going to be kicking themselves over tonight. I am sure that they feel like if they would have done a couple of things better, they would have had it. Having said that, they shot nearly what they end up shooting 85% probably from the free throw line. They only missed 2. A really good free throw shooting performance and a really good game plan defensively against Duke. So, JD, let's go to the stats. All right. Duke shot 38% from the field, 32% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. Virginia, 14 of 16, 88%, 44% from the field, 33% from 3. Duke out-rebounded Virginia 41-31. Assist-to-turnover ratio for Duke 15-9. 12 blocks for Virginia. Obviously, 9 of those go to the big fella Onyenso. 20 offensive rebounds for the Blue Devils to 10 for Virginia. Virginia's I think the second best rebounding team in the ACC. And Duke did this without Big Pat. It's pretty incredible. Malik only played 16 minutes. Just wasn't effective when he came back in the game. 4 points, 5 boards for Malik. I am sure he's going to help us win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament. I am not worried about Malik Brown. Cam, worst shooting performance of the year. 13 points on 3 of 17 shooting. But he did have 8 rebounds and 8 assists. Did Big Boozer. 9 points for Dame, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. I guess he did have a couple of steals. I take that back from earlier. Isaiah, 20 points. And then Caden, as you mentioned, all 40 minutes. It was funny. I mentioned this before. Listening to Shire, they asked him, in the pre-ACC tournament press conference, I guess, Nick, is he a guy you think you're going to use, as your backup point guard? And Shire just laughs and says, well, who says Caden's not going to play the whole game? Well,
Go out for.
tonight he did. Tonight he did. And JD, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. And then Nick, 9 points, 6 boards, 1 steal. Oh, I didn't mention Caden's full stat line. I lost you there for a second. 16 points, tied his career high, back-to-back games. That's pretty incredible. 5 boards, 4 assists. And by the way, we didn't mention this before. He had the putback offensive rebound. It was like
The second half when he hit that follow-up shot, which was just terrific.
Well, I was going to say it was just like the Florida State game.
You remember he hit in the FSU game, I think.
Exactly. Yep. And then Nick had 9.6 rebounds. Darren Harris, you mentioned 3 points, also 3 rebounds for Darren. So really productive minutes from DH in his 12 minutes. It was playing late in this one, so good for Darren. Anything from the stats before I jump to the medals here, JD?
Let's hit the medals because it's sure going to be fun on the chat.
All right. Gold, I'm going with Isaiah. Caden, I'm going with the silver. And then bronze, I'm going to give it to Cam. I'm still going to give it to Cam. I was waffling. I know a little inside baseball. I was asking JD before we started recording, which way am I going to go? I hadn't decided. I was, but I just think he had an awful shooting performance, but he still helped the team win. And I know Nick was really important, but we don't win this game without anybody, quite frankly. We needed all 7 guys. So I don't know. I may waffle my way back to Nick on this one, but I had a hard time because I love the way Nick played. You know what? Screw it. I'm going with Nick. I changed my mind. I'm going with Nick for the bronze. I just love the way this guy's been playing. His tenacity, his energy. I even love the fact that he'll go up to guys when they miss defensive assignments, and he's clapping at them, whether it was Dame, Cam, it didn't matter who. If you missed a defensive assignment, Nick was going to let you know. And that guy's come a long way from where he was, what was it, a month ago, where we came on this program and said, what are we going to do? He's not playing like he did earlier in the season, like the Michigan State game. He like had caused a turnover where he kind of like ran into Evans. It was like really bizarre. He didn't know where he was supposed to be on the court. And now to watch him play, the growth from him and Caden has been a joy to watch. And this team has been a joy to watch, and they did it for their guys winning the ACC tournament. So what a special 3-game stretch here by these guys.
And if John Shire isn't the coach of the year for the regular season that he put together, and then taking a seriously depleted team to the ACC championship, I'm going to be pretty upset that he doesn't get coach of the year.
He should get coach of the year, and we should be the number 1 overall seed. And I think Arizona should be 2. And Michigan 3, and then probably Florida 4, because UConn lost as well. And then let them figure it out from there. All right. Let's go to the chat, JD. Mr. Moore. Duke just keeps allowing themselves to get blocked every 4 seconds. A definition of insanity. Duke. Family show. We're not the championship game. We still got to keep ourselves going here. Trop uniform. What a game. All credit to Virginia. That was a battle. Don't tell me that team can't make a run in the tourney. So proud of our guys for stepping up. They had every reason to fold and pack it up early and wait for NCAAs. William Powers. Cam Boozer is not only the best player in the country, but he is also one of the smartest. What a heads-up play to kill the clock. So proud of these guys and how far they have come from the beginning of the season. I really believe they are playing for C. Foss and Pat, not just saying it. They seem like a group that's really connected. And you don't win as many close games as this group has without that being the case. Going back to I know the national media, Duke blows leads. Okay. But if you really look at it on a game by game basis, they win a lot more of these games than they lose. A lot more. Going back to the start of the year, Michigan State, Florida, Michigan, now throw in Florida State and Virginia, and I may be missing one or two, but I like the fact that this group has been really tested throughout the year heading into March. We're in
I
March,
think
but March Madness.
I think one of the things that Coach Shire always says about this group is he'll give instructions and then they go out on the court and they huddle together and they talk together and they say, you do this, you do that. And there are times he laughs. He goes, maybe I don't really have to say much to them. They are so connected.
Tropic Uniform 2026 ACC regular season and tourney champs after losing all five starters to the NBA. Pretty damn good. Pretty crazy.
Remarkable.
Got more work to do, as you said, Tropic Uniform. Swisher back to back. So impressive that they did this without two starters and a 7-man rotation. Virginia is a top 10 seed, close to a 2 seed. They have 5 losses on the year. 2 are to Duke. Their non-conference strength schedule isn't great, so I think, as you're alluding to there, Swisher, they might be more of a 3 seed. But boy, they're good. They're at least a Sweet 16 team. They are very good. And the other thing I thought that was really smart that they did, which I didn't mention before, one of the other adjustments that they did, they were pressing the whole game. It wasn't like a crazy, trapping press, at least initially, but it was designed to kind of wear down Duke. And it did cause, a turnover early in the second half. They didn't convert on it. But I thought it was a smart move considering they had 9 guys to rotate and Duke only had the 7. So I thought it was a good strategy by them. Yeah, and then Tropic Uniform. This is a good point. What do you think about this, JD? Could argue this win was better than last year's, though I know Flag was hurt, Brown too, but the ACC was also better this year. What do you think? Because it's a lot of similarities, JD. Both teams missing 2 guys going into the ACC. Well, actually, last year we lost the 2 guys in the ACC tournament. This year we didn't have them throughout the ACC tournament. The other thing I'll do before you answer is set the stage a little bit. Last year we had 11 guys. This year we only had 9. We did lose our best player last year in Flag, but we lost 2 starters this year. Malik was a guy off the bench. And then also we had 3 bigs last year. We only had the 2 true bigs. I know Cam's a big, but he has more than that. You know what I'm getting at. So what do you think? How'd you answer that?
I think this year, with not knowing that Caden could play the point, we hoped he could. So honestly, it was more than losing Caleb. It was like, I don't know who's going to bring the ball up. And he strings together a couple of fantastic performances. Yes, we still have the player of the year playing throughout. And it's going to be a tough call to say that. But I think this year's win was sweeter against a very tough Virginia team.
And Caden, to his credit, closed the Florida State game well after having a rough start, and then was able to make the adjustments with no time. It wasn't like he had, a few days to watch the film and practice, etc. There was no time. And the guy puts together his 2 highest scoring performances in best games of his career back to back.
The only thing I'll say is we came within.
Yes.
In that first game,
yes,
he hits the rim, and we're almost done talking until tournament time. So, but we win it, and then we go on and win strong. And then tonight was a really big win against a very good team.
Yeah, to your point, we're very close to this being a very different. Well, we're not having this conversation. Let's be clear. But once you get to March, it's all about results. Last year's champion Florida had a number of games in their tournament run where if, one shot goes in for the other team, or Walter Clayton doesn't hit several threes in the last minute, they're not national champions. And nobody remembers that. Well, I remember it, but most people are not going to remember that. I'm not going to remember that 5 years from now, you know? And at the end of the day, do you make your shots?
I mean, think about Arizona's run in the Big 12. They narrowly beat a really good Arizona State team.
Iowa State.
And then they narrowly beat, what was it, Houston? For the
Yeah, they had the lead, and then Houston they had the lead though most of the game. Not as close as the Iowa State game.
Okay.
But a tough slate of games. Iowa State and Houston, those are two and 3 seeds, like the Big 12, the top of the Big 12, really strong.
Well, and that's why I know you say we should get the number 1 seed, even though they played better teams in their conference, tournament there. But we had to go on this run without 2 of our starters. Go on a run, not just 2 of our starters, because a NCAA championship is usually won with a minimum of a good center and a steady point guard. Now, admittedly, Duke has changed that form. Well, they didn't win last year. They you need those are usually 2 positions where you've got to have strong play out of both of them. Duke is creating a different formula here with, a point forward guiding the team for 2 years.
I like Cam in the NCAA tournament getting a day off in between games, not playing 3 games in a row. I have a really good feeling about that. And getting Big Pat back, I saw some things on Twitter. It seemed like he was taking a good step forward. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, we'll see Big Pat for the opening round next week. All right, Laura. Duke's football team, women's basketball team, and men's basketball team are the first ever to sweep the 3 major sports in the ACC for championships. Great stat, as always, from Laura. Joe M., let's go Duke. Great timeouts at the end by Shire. Super smart from Cam for not going back up. They never gave up while being shot blocked, showing off their resilience. I'm glad we didn't talk about that. I'm glad Joe called out Shire, who I thought he didn't have a lot to work with throughout this ACC tournament. He was limited. He looked at the bench. All right. Okay, we got – all right. Okay, there's Jack Scott. There's Cam Sheffield. There's our guy Brock Davis. All right, we don't have a ton of options down there.
And he's without Malik for large chunks.
The last 10 minutes of –
We're actually playing 6 guys.
Yeah.
And Harris he's actually saying, all right, you 5 go out there and do your thing.
Basically, yeah. And then it's about what plays, what adjustments can he make within the game with basically those 5 guys. And he had a tremendous coaching performance over these 3 days. Tropic uniform, hopefully we locked up the overall number 1 with that win too. Florida took a bad loss, but Zona won and Michigan plays tomorrow. It's Arizona for me. It can't be Michigan. It just can't be Michigan. But if it's Arizona, I will be upset, but I will at least understand they'll have the same record. They had a tougher slate of games in the Big 12. I know they got a lot of credit for beating UConn at UConn, but as you and I both mentioned at the time and afterwards, it was UConn without 2 of their starters, so it's not quite the same thing. But they have the same record as Duke, and played an equally tough competition, but I don't know. I think Duke should get it. I do think Duke should get
Do,
it.
I mean, Jack, the last AP poll had us with most. I mean, 50 something out. I mean, it gave Arizona, I think, 4 or 5 first place votes. We then win 3 games in a row without 2 starters. Why are you going to take away the first overall seed?
Yeah, the AP poll doesn't have anything to do with the seeding. But it is fun to look at. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't impact the seeding. So it's all about those quad one wins, the net rating, and then whatever other ratings they want to use on a given year to justify certain decisions.
We're staying in the East.
Yeah, yeah. Joe M, amazing minutes. Yeah, definitely staying in the East, no matter what. Amazing minutes from Harris in the second half. Harris played good defense, man. He really did. Caden was going off in the first. Tropic uniform, sick of all the naysayers about Foster and Pat, but they said the same thing before they got hurt, especially Foster. That I'm adding that to what Tropic uniform's saying, that Duke was only boozer, etc. Now all of a sudden the injuries are huge, just more doubt. Yeah, it's Duke basketball. You know, you're either with us or you're against us, and there's a lot more people against. Archangel. Rally the troops. Go Duke. We are the ACC champs. My question is Duke the only ACC team where men's and women's go back-to-back to win the ACC? I'm going to give that question to Laura because I'm sure Laura will get us the answer on that one. Joe M. Showtime showing up when we needed him most. I'm so happy these guys never went away. It would have been so easy for this team to give up and be startled from Virginia's defense in the second half. Great point, Joe, as always. There were moments it felt like they could have folded. In particular, I go back to Caden's turnover. It was in the midst of that stretch where that was a really important stretch for me when Anienzo was blocking everything, and Thomas was able to get the steal off the pressure, the full court pressure. It was the only time they got Caden with that. And they weren't able to score. And the reason was the other 4 guys from Duke sprinted back. They didn't say, we turned it over. Next, give a jogging effort. They all sprinted back to help on defense. And then Virginia didn't score. And I think that said, this group has been connected and resilient, but has shown a desire to win games. And it's, a lot of times people say, like, you just got to be tougher. But I also felt like Duke was smart, and not just tough, but smart. They switched well. They communicated well. And I think it goes beyond just toughness. It's about understanding the scheme. Where should I be on this player? How do I, guard Malik Thomas versus a Testa Ritter? And I just think everybody knows the game plan to a T, and that goes from, Cam Boozer all the way to Darren Harris. And that's why this team has been able to win as many games as they have. Are we up to 32?
Yep.
32. Yeah, Joe says was sweating those Cam Boozer free throws at the end. Weren't we all? It was one of the as Dickie V said, they're just missing free throws down the stretch here. And he missed both, and then Malik Thomas missed the front end. The front end, man. Virginia had opportunities. Ryan Jones. Shout out to our guy, Ryan. I'm the biggest Shire stan in the world, but man, why are we waiting until 6 seconds to call a timeout in an end-of-the-game situation where our guys have played 3 games in 3 days? Either way, gritty 3 days of ball, and it's always next man up. Duke family show. Confident Caden is a beautiful sight. Bring on the big one, baby. 6 more for 6. That's right. Yeah, I agree with your sentiment, Ryan. I think he could have called it. I would have wished he called it like the 10-second mark. because I was like, what are we doing? We're just standing there, No one was moving. I understand we're trying to kill some time, but around the 12-second mark, somebody should have started doing something, and it was just, all right, I'm gonna hold the ball, then you hold the ball. But I feel like they're tired, and I think we benefited with like 2 minutes to go. Virginia called timeout, and then there was the wet spot, and I think that gave us like an extra, because we were tired, man. You could see it on several. Not Nick, by the way. Nick did not look tired, but Cam, Caden.
You and I were tired.
Yeah, I'm still tired.
This is three nights in a row of
Yeah. Um. Let's see. Dan, Duke fan for life. Go Duke. Joe says it felt like an Elite Eight Final Four game, all back and forth the whole time. Yeah. Agreed. AJ won. Big step in confidence in that they beat a top 10 team without two starters and Cam not scoring a lot. Bad news for teams. Duke just got better. New season starts next week. Championship time. It's a good point. Duke wins this game not only without two starters, but with Cam not scoring well, to put it lightly. And they still found a way to win against a very good Virginia team. Yeah, Trap Uniform. Let's see how the bracket shapes out tomorrow. That'll be fun. They're trying to get, who's 33 to switch off onto Cam there. Oh, yes, they're trying to get Onyenso off of Cam. They're running so many screens, whether it was Evans, Caden, Nick, to try to get Onyenso off of Cam. And Onyenso did a really good job, man. He did. It. I made the joke to you, JD, like it'd be a really cool tournament wrinkle if you could pick one player from each team that you beat, to add to your squad. So I would definitely take Robert McRae, and I would take Onyenso. Those would be the guys I would want for the stretch run here. Laura, Nick, and Caden kept us in this game. They sure did. Brody Swing, did y'all see Caden throw that down with his left? Didn't even know he could dunk. It was his second dunk in a couple minutes. JD brought that one up earlier. It didn't count, but man, that was impressive. Zach Moore. And if you're new out there, we got a lot of people out there. If you're new, even if you don't have a comment, just put it in the chat that you're new. We'd love to give you a shout out on the show. We appreciate everybody joining us this evening. What an awesome tournament run. Zach Moore. Caden is the X Factor with Foster out. Steve Stretch. Caden MVP. Yeah, Caden was awesome.
If someone knows who was the tournament MVP.
It's good. I would assume it was Cam. For the 3 games, I would think it was Cam.
I'm going to assume it's Cam, but who knows?
True. Heem to dream. I'm in Charlotte right now. We're about to party all night, as you should. Enjoy that, Heem. Tom. Malik was a no-show tonight and last night, placing tremendous pressure on Cameron. I know Malik is a cerebral player, but where's the energy and the want to in his final year? I hope he finds it. It's fair. I think, I don't know exactly. Like, I know he played better both times before he picked up his second foul, and then he wasn't good afterwards. But I also know he had the best game I've ever seen him play against North Carolina just a week ago. So I'm sure he'll figure it out, and I think Pat coming back will help.
And the first game, he did play really well.
And he did play really well against Florida State. Yeah. All right. Let's pick out a few more here, JD. Swisher, this tourney just shows how locked in this team is and how great of a coach Shire is. National Coach of the Year.
Yep.
As Trap Uniform says, great time to be a Duke fan in Charlotte. Joe M. 3 ACC titles in 4 years for Shire. 42-2 in the ACC during the past 2 years. That is insane. That's just insane. And the ACC was much better this year. And that's going to show in the tournament. There's going to be several teams who a couple of teams certainly who make the Sweet 16. And then we'll see. Maybe Miami can make a run. It's really the only other team I have any confidence in. With North Carolina losing Caleb Wilson, I just don't see it for them. And as Steve Stretch says, they tired. 7-man rotation. Good thing we're going to not play on back-to-back-to-back days in the tournament and should be getting to 8. And Joe says, loves the nickname Quick Draw for Isaiah, same as Flame Thrower. Yeah.
Ooh, good one.
RW Forsh, I love the way these guys talk and hold each other accountable. They're truly bought in to each other. Congratulations, Duke Nation. Yeah. They're fun to watch. They're fun to watch. Lawrence Freeman. Shout out Lawrence. Nick is a dog. His progress this season has been tremendous. I genuinely love watching him play. I love watching Nick Kamenia play of late. He's a real treat. Yeah. Malik is still my favorite player, but Nick is moving up the charts, man. He is moving up the charts for me. Joe M.
There's so many. I mean, you could say that, Malik's defense when he's on is just otherworldly. Nick's aggression, his ability to cover the court is fantastic. Isaiah, when he is on, is just like, and maybe Sar didn't have a great game tonight, but Sar, in the last 10 games has been terrific on defense. And then Cam just, because we always leave him out, but his consistent play, and tonight, the only thing going back to you quoting, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and, consistently trying to score over the big guy. I don't know what he was thinking. And yet at the very end, he did. He did get a bucket.
Well, no.
In between the
offensive
two.
Rebound. Yes.
Yes.
You're right. There's that and one. That was huge.
It was huge.
And then Joe, this any other plays? Because you guys there are a few plays we may have forgot here, and Joe's calling out a really good one. So any other plays from you guys, drop them in the chat. Joe says that corner 3 where Slim jumped to catch the pass and shot it off so quickly was just insane.
Great.
I'm glad you brought that one up, Joe. In real time, I couldn't believe he did that. Let me rephrase what I said. I couldn't believe he made that. I could 100% believe he shot it because that's exactly what he would do. But to jump as high as he did, land, and then all in one motion, shoot with a guy not too far off to contest the shot, that was an incredible shot. Just incredible.
We've often seen Duke big guys do that inside. Who was it? Like Marvin Bagley was one, where they'll just go up, but to do it from 3-point range.
Insane.
It's great.
We got a Virginia fan. Boozer pushed off, bro. DeRitter sold 6 points. DeRitter was bad. And by the way, second game against Duke, he was not good. So I don't know if he sold. I think you gotta give credit to Duke. And I know Wes says, "Let's go Duke." Duke boys earned that championship, and Gouda says the refs earned that. I don't know what game you were watching. Statistically, there were 18 fouls for Virginia. There was 13 for Duke. 16 free throws for Virginia. 20 for Duke. I mean, this game was not decided by the refs. Virginia had a number of opportunities, as I went through earlier, to win this game, and they didn't. And Duke was able to get it done down the stretch. So I'm not here for the refs decided this one. Admissions. Now we wait to see the bracket reveal. Duke will be the number 1 overall seed, but will no doubt have the toughest path. The committee loves screwing Duke. The hardest path to the Final Four. We've seen that in the past, although we are biased. So it feels like we've seen that in the past. North City Flip. They say we are nothing but Cam. Now I'm waiting for the next excuse. I saw the Field of 68 guy say every game, by the way, he picked against us. Picked Virginia. They were too tough a matchup for us. All year long, Caleb Foster, wasn't good enough for this team. Foster gets hurt. What are we going to do without Caleb Foster? They're all over the place. I can't help them. And then Joe, I saw this at the end. He said that Cam was the ACC tournament MVP. So confirmed for you, JD.
Okay.
Good stat from Joe. DH leading the team in plus minus with 12. Nick with plus 11. Really good from Darren, who was our biggest negative in the Florida State game. Lots of times with plus minus, there's circumstances, etc. with that, but really happy for Darren, who felt like was a positive on the court for Duke in this game. Michael Joyner, tough game. This Duke team is amazing. 2 years in a row, JD, the 2 years we've been doing this show, they've been a lot of fun to watch play. Like, it's always fun to watch Duke, but this year and last year, it's a different level in terms of how much of a joy they've been to watch. And this year, maybe even more so.
Not just great players, great character.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of the two makes for winning teams.
Andre Davis, I'm always with y'all. Appreciate that, Andre. Laura, thanks for bringing this one up. We're still undefeated when Isaiah hits at least 3 3-pointers. I know Mr. Moore brought that up last time. Jeremy Farrell, Caden Boozer, he was fantastic. Evans making that 3 on the last couple of seconds. We needed that. We got the championship. Now off to the next one. And I see JD stack those hats. Go Duke. Jeremy, thought of you when I reminded JD to stack those hats. You're the guy I thought of, so appreciate you always joining us here.
Each game in the March Madness that we win, I'm going to have to find another hat.
So you're going to
start. I'm going to do it.
Start with just the beanie, and then I've got some more hats. We're going to find. Yeah, I like that. Trap uniform. Evans has a nice mid-range game. He's been going to it more last few games. He's so long, he can usually get a decent shot when they run him off the line. He's just become such a well-rounded player. Virginia had some threes that went around the rim from Joe and went out in the first half. We got lucky, didn't fall in. That first 3 they took was awful, though. The one from DeRitter was terrible. And he's not a shooter. Like, it's not his game. Laura asks, are you planning on having a show maybe tomorrow night to talk about NCAA tournament bracket reveal? Laura, it's funny you say that. I was absolutely thinking of doing – I was thinking – of doing a live show, like a live watch along. I don't know how you guys would feel about that, just reacting in real time to how the brackets are relayed to us, and then sticking on a little bit afterwards, maybe talking a little bit about the path, and then probably like Tuesday, give a day, but Tuesday, Duke's projected path through the tournament, something like that. If you guys have any other ideas, drop them in the chat. Yeah. And as Swisher says, imagine how much easier it will feel for these guys with Pat back. Yeah. Trap uniforms down for a bracket reveal show. All right, we're in. We're doing that. We appreciate you guys. Elton Brady, outstanding. Way to go, Duke. M. Saunders, Malik looked gassed in the second half. If that dunk by Caden counts, UVA would have been in trouble. Great battle and win nonetheless. So Joe M. Caden outscoring Cam. Huge. Happy for him. Laura on KenPom, we're only 0.56 ahead of Michigan. It feels like we're destined to see Michigan or Arizona again. Well, I guess for Arizona it feels like again because we saw him twice last year. I know we didn't see him this year, but man. Let's go Duke. Let's go. Duke Family Show. ACC champs. Gritty full team win. Everyone fought hard. Sure did. Let's see. Let's get a few more in here, JD. Wes and Susan, all we do, win, no matter what. Money on your mind. Can't get enough. Every time we step in the building, everybody hands go up. Duke Family Show. All right. And as Laura says, we're still number one in the net. Bassick Man, you see Big Pat celebrating after the game saying, I'm back. Did not see that. That is awesome. That makes everything else so much better, so much sweeter. It's going to be great. That first tournament game, when we see Big Pat in the court, I'm gonna stand up, a little celebration. It's going to be great. And if and when we make the Final Four and Mr. Foster comes back, another one. I'll be so happy for that guy. I imagine he'll come off the bench, though, and be limited minutes-wise, but that'll be really exciting. John Smith says, North Carolina fans super bummed. I know on one of our TikToks, there's a lot of them that came out, and they've been very quiet since. They've got their own problems to deal with, and we'll let them deal with that, other than, as I always like to say, extend Hubert Davis. My only piece of advice there. Joe, is UConn fully healthy now? They lost to Marquette recently. Then they just lost the Big East Championship by 20. They are. And tough night in our household. My mom, UConn fan. Tough for them to lose the way they did to St. John's, but even worse, to lose to Marquette and then Creighton in the last month. Two teams that are not good.
Although they took care of business with St. John's when they played them at home recently.
But this was not at home.
I know. And they're not going to be at home if they see them again.
St. John's, I made the comparison in the preview, JD, of these games feeling similar. Virginia embarrassed, at Duke. They had something to prove in this game. St. John's embarrassed at UConn. And St. John's came out aggressive against UConn, and they got a 10-point lead and maintained it. Duke is just a better team than UConn. I mean, we know that. And I'm not saying anything we don't know. Even with the guys hurt, and their defense, man, is really good.
I do want to give a shout out as a Queens boy. Rick Pitino bringing St. John's back to relevancy, and definitely should make it to the Sweet 16.
And Joe also asked if we're gonna do a show after Selection Sunday, so we'll be here. We'll be here tomorrow. At least, hey JD, at least that starts at 6:00. Okay.
Yes.
That'll be a lot better for us. M. Saunders asked how we match up with UConn. To me, they're the lowest 2 seed. I like our chances against UConn. I do. They haven't been as consistent as Duke has been. And with Big Pat back, we'll have a big body to deal with Terrace Reed. And then their offense, it's crazy I keep saying this. They don't have a guy like Robert McCray who could create his own shot. Um, I think you need somebody like that to beat somebody to beat Duke. And the reason I bring that up is Duke's 2 losses, the teams had somebody who could create their own shot. Whether it was Christian Anderson for Texas Tech or Caleb Wilson for North Carolina. You need somebody like that to beat a team like Duke, and I don't think UConn has that.
Arizona's, what is it, Jack Del Orso?
Yes. He's not a create his own shot kind of guy, though.
Yeah, but he's
really
been
good
deadly.
shooter. Really good shooter. You got to stay
Just
attached.
deadly.
And then M. Saunders, love the show. Got to go R-rated for a second if they win the Natty. Yes, I made that commitment to Mr. Moore. I will do that for sure. King People, I'm new. What up? Next man up. Appreciate you joining us, King. Let's go. Let's do a couple more here, JD. Laura answers that Duke is the only school for its men and women to have back-to-back championships. The MVP was Cam. Shout out to Laura, always providing the stats for us. Our professional statistician.
It used to be the Elias Sports Bureau years ago where they had all the stats, and Laura's just been fantastic.
Yeah. Raider Dan, somehow, some way, we did it. Yeah. Yep. Joe says, not those Field 68 guys. Don't know why I still listen to them. Just curiosity at this point. I'm kind of with you, Joe. I try to tune them out, but sometimes I will. It gets me. Also, sometimes there'll be somebody who I like on there on the show, and I'm curious what they have to say versus the other 2 guys who I don't care what they have to say. I'll leave it there.
You know what? And it's not for us to ever say anything about someone else. We're always sort of on the upbeat. They do their show. They have their opinions. We don't necessarily agree with their opinions, but, they have their show. They have their audience. Good for them that they're out there and they put themselves out there. Don't have to agree with them, but.
I don't like those guys.
I'm trying to help you out here.
I don't know. Not on this one. I don't need it. Listen, we are we're, as you said, we're all about positivity. Those guys are not. That's why I got no problem. With that. Raider Dan, from the beginning, Cam was playing on fumes. It sure looked like it. It sure did look like it. Joe's here for the live show. And then Corey Miller. Shout out Corey. Man, how big was Caden in the first half? He's been big time in the past couple games. Humongous. The guy's been phenomenal of late.
37 and 40 minutes, and he gives us quality 37 and 40 minutes in games 2 and 3.
Yeah. All right, JD. Any closing thoughts here as we wrap up the show?
I'm just really excited about tomorrow night and our prospects, but I know it's a 6-game winning streak, and I've always told you which team can go on a 6-game winning streak, but the only way to play them is one at a time. And I always thought Coach K kind of had that a little wrong because he viewed each section as a mini tournament. And I still think you play each game one game at a time and ignore the rest.
Why can't it be both?
Hey, I don't know. Coach K has more wins than any other coach, so
more wins than you and I.
Clearly.
All right.
I think it's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Selection Sunday show. That'll be fun. Glad you guys are all in for that. So we'll see where Duke gets seated, who's in our bracket, what does our first weekend look like, and then from there on, that'll be fun to break down with all of you. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow, Selection Sunday. Can't believe we're here. What a ride it's been. Until then, guys, peace.